Hello, Medicare Advantage Risk Adjustment operators, innovators, and learners. Welcome to another learning video of the Hughes Academy Risk Adjustment Made Easy, the Medicare Advantage kind. I am your host, Tutor Dr. Prince Baawuah. If today is your first time joining us, we want to say welcome and thank you for joining us. If you have been with us throughout the years, we also want to say welcome. Thank you for spending this evening or this evening or morning whenever you're watching this video with us. If you have not subscribed to our channel, I will encourage you to like, to share, to subscribe to our channel because it helps us to reach a wider audience, and it also helps you not to miss anything that we release on our channel. Throughout this month, we have been learning the Plan Communications User Guide, and we have gone through several learning videos on what the Plan Communications User Guide, how do you navigate through the Plan Communications User Guide, what are the components or the anatomy of the Plan Communications User Guide. So if today is your first time joining us, I will encourage you to watch the prior videos because it helps give some context on what we are covering today. Today is week 4 and we are covering what changed in the version 19.0 of the Plan Communications User Guide and how do you keep track of all the changes that comes in as you work with the Plan Communications User Guide. So let's get into today's video. The Plan Communications User Guide is here as I show every time. You can go to the link and download your copy, or you search online for the Medicare Advantage Prescription Drug Plans Plan Communications User Guide. It's gonna come up, and it's always good to have your copy because these videos are short and straight to the point, but it gives you the opportunity to navigate it with me as we go through the Plan Communications User Guide. Today, we'll cover what changed and how to stay current. CMS released the Plan Communication User Guide version 19.0 in February 2026, about 3 weeks ago. And today we'll be looking at what changed in the latest version, how do you keep track of changes easily, and how to track future updates as you work with the Plan Communications User Guide, because it helps you better communicate with CMS so that no data is left behind or rejected as you look at your enrollment and your payment files. The version 19.0 was released, actually came out in March on the website, but it was updated per the Plan Communications User Guide on February 27, 2026. And there is almost one update per every 1 to 2 months as you track all the versions that has come out. And each version can add or remove fields. It can change some valid values. It can rename some elements, and it can restructure some sections. And because this is a PDF document, as new content are being added, things shift and the pages changes and things like that. Therefore, it is always good to track the changes or be aware of the changes so that when someone is referring something to you, were you using the version 18, version 19, you know which one you are talking about, and you are talking about the same document. So you want to track the Plan Communication User Guide. You want to use the current version pertaining to the data set that you are talking about. Tracking and aligning the data to the version is very, very critical to make sure that you're able to work with the document very well. At the very beginning pages of the Plan Communication User Guide, CMS actually has a change log that can help you keep track of the changes. For example, between the version 18.9, which was released in February 2026, versus the version 19.0, CMS tells us the key things that changed. For example, version updated to 19.0, and it was published date revised February 7, 2026, and the introduction had no changes, the connectivity had no changes, the eligibility and enrollment has some changes. So updated title, short definitions and definition for TRC 394, and then updated all current references for EOC, which is the Online Enrollment Center flag, to Online Enrollment Center Indicator, and then change some positions. So for example, these positions change, and therefore on the DTRD file, so you will be looking at your DTRD file and make sure that they are corresponding to this new updates as it change. There's no change on the LIS, no change to premium, no no change to the payment, no change to outbound files. With the Mars UI, CMS added some extra descriptions to help and replace some of our things, the screen, updated screen, and then the glossary and the acronyms had no change. So these are some of the key changes that are in the Plan Communication User Guide per version, and every version CMS releases the change log. So you can look at the change log at least to use it as an initial guide to guide you through the changes that are in the new Plan Communications User Guide. And some of the changes that you may not necessarily see here is that as new content are being added, pages shift. And therefore, you want to also keep track of those things because it's a PDF document. As things add in and out, these may not materially matter in terms of maybe the data because page changes. But if you are referencing the Plan Communications User Guide, it's always important to ask someone which version they are looking at because someone may be looking at an older version and you may be looking at a newer version or another version, and you are referencing the same page numbers, and it may not necessarily be so. So knowing which version you're looking at is critically important, and how the changes affect the page numbering and all the things across are critically important. Keep track. You can use the change log as the first place to learn about the changes. Nonetheless, there are some other apparent changes that may or may not be that material based on how you are looking at or using the Plan Communications User Guide to better do your work. Why keeping up with changes matter? So every change has a downstream impact. I talked about this earlier. Fields rename may break ETL pipelines that you had already created. New tables shift all the tables references. You reduce fields, updated data extract. CMS expects current version compliance because you're using that to submit data to CMS, and CMS is submitting data back to you. And early adopters of these changes avoid fire drills because something may be rejected and then you're trying to figure it out because you are not keeping track of these changes. It may cause much more headache, and it has happened to me myself. There was one time I was updating the DTRD file and something was off. It was off, and I had to reach out to CMS to ask, I'm ingesting this DTRD file and something is off here. Is anything going on? And they had to let me know the Plan Communication User Guide is updated. So I looked at the newest Plan Communication User Guide and applied the changes accordingly so that everything worked out. But knowing these things can really avoid some fire drills downstream. So they are critical and useful for your work. How do you stay current? Bookmark the CMS Peacock page and double check there, often probably like once in a month, to make sure that the newest one hasn't come in, or if the newest one has come in, you download that one. You watch for HPMS memos. Sometimes some upcoming updates are notified in the HPMS memos, and then once it's updated in a month, that changes come in through that. So watching HPMS memos, and I've talked about HPMS memos in other videos, how to be on that listserv so that you get notified of those changes. If there are any that comes up on the file layout side, then you're able to get notified ahead of time so that when the updates come in, you are ready. You can also read the change log first. I will always encourage you as you get a new one to read the change log to see what has happened so that it at least be as a guide as you navigate through it. And then you can also compare layouts across versions. And here's the link to the site on the Plan Communication User Guide. So you go to the CMS website, you search for MAPD Plan Communications User Guide, or even you search on Google, you should be able to get you there. To find the newest version. Thank you. Keep calm and keep learning the Plan Communications User Guide. If this has been helpful to you, I would encourage you to like, to share, to subscribe to our channel. You can also pass it on to a colleague that may benefit from the resources that we share here on our channel. If you are not on our email list yet, I will encourage you to go to our website, www.theheelsacademy.com. And when you go to the Risk Adjustment Made Easy page, you will be able to download From Chaos to Clarity, the essential comparison cheat sheet on Medicare Advantage risk adjustment data sources. And you get your free copy of that. And you also become part of our Heels Academy family. And you do not miss anything from us. Thank you so much for joining us today. I will catch you next week as we begin a brand new topic. Thank you and bye for now.